So we have an exciting podcast to share with you all. Thanks to Audio Boom Network, we love to read for you what the Paranormal Chicks have to offer.
A Paranormal Chicks is a play on words of a pair of normal chicks, which is debatable. We are best friends who have known each other for almost 30 years. Yeah, that shows our age. We are extra large girls with extra large personalities. We love true crime and paranormal, and every episode includes a story of each. Donna tells a paranormal story, and Carrie tells a true crime story.
We are Southern, foul-mouthed, and all-inclusive. The podcast is conversational storytelling with a bit of humor thrown in, so you feel like you're hanging with friends. 2 episodes a week. Monday is the main episode. Thursday is our Sinister Sightings,
which our story listeners send in on their own paranormal experiences, such as sleep paralysis, bizarre ambient stories, scary shit kids say, and everything in between. Make sure to subscribe to A Paranormal Chicks on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts.
Welcome to episode 19 of season 3. If you just joined, this is Maria at Maria the Arcane on Instagram, and I'm joined by the lovely and wonderful, supreme Robin of At a Tired Witch on Instagram.
Our welcome segment really should just become us gassing each other up.
I know,
That's
right?
really what it should be called.
The beautiful, the stunning,
sexy, sensual, just kiss on the lips.
And what did you call witchy pop culture in our
wishy?
So the most wishy,
the wishiest of all wishes. That's 3 weeks in a row. That's so embarrassing.
That's okay. I'm usually the one mispronouncing stuff and all that. It's fine.
Oh,
like, I'm quite enjoying this.
Hi, my name is Robin, and I don't know how to read.
Same. Hard same.
Before we get started on this episode, we want to mention to you guys that if you haven't already joined our Patreon, we are doing monthly classes, and this month's is by J. Allen Cross. It is on the 4 hauntings and how to differentiate them. I think it's going to be really interesting. So if you haven't already joined and you'd like to, library tier and up gets access to that. And if you miss it on October 30th, it will go up the next day, within the next 48 hours after, as a recording to listen on the Patreon. As well as we have some spooky merch this year. I don't know if you guys saw that, but we've got a bunch of really, really cool stuff that we made exclusive for Halloween, for spooky season.
They'll probably leave it up for the rest of the time.
Probably. Which can be found in our link trees everywhere. So if you're interested in that, that's where you can find those things. If not, thanks for letting me say that.
I do want to say, because in the classes, if you are actually at the class, you can actually talk to Jay and ask questions. Like, if you have any questions and you're like, hey, I didn't really understand that. Or you could be like, how about this? What would you do in this situation? You can pop a question to Jay and he will answer.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Our first class with Nike was incredible. I'm so excited for this one with Jay, and we have a bunch lined up already that are so exciting.
Many. Oh my gosh,
we literally have
so
the next 4 months mapped out, and our teachers are. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great, guys.
I'm attending every single one.
Me too.
So good.
If you've just joined us this week, every week we talk about upcoming lunar phases and how you can utilize them magically in your practice. So that being said, our nearest one to today's episode is on October 25th, and it is the new moon in Scorpio. Now, new moons in general are very good for new beginnings, new projects, anything that kind of is channeling the Fool energy, right? But this particular new moon in Scorpio is a really, really good time to make personal goals that express specifically positive energy in your life. So this wouldn't necessarily be a good time for, let's say, work. Not that work doesn't provide positive benefits, right? You get income. Income can lead to good things, but instead these are far more like emotional things that are going to be fulfilling. Scorpio new moons are a good time to do like love spells to attract new love into your life. It's a really good time to do spells that are just going to take positive steps forward for like self-empowerment or tackling things that have been kind of undermining your well-being and happiness recently. And so I personally would recommend doing any kind of magic that is love magic, whether that is self-love or bringing new love into your life, or even sex magic. And I don't mean sex magic in the ritual sense. I mean magic literally for sex. Scorpio new moons are very sexy in a lot of ways. It's the horniest episode ever.
So sexy.
It's coming back. It's not the horniest episode ever. We did that one already. But overall, I would definitely kind of channel this fresh start energy that is truly going to be focused on your own emotional well-being and happiness. And so while, like I said, yeah, things like your career could bring you happiness, there is an expression: money doesn't buy happiness. So while your job might bring you more money and that could make you some momentary happiness, let's look at kind of bigger, grander picture stuff for this particular moon.
I also think that for Scorpio new moons, like doing new boundary spells is great. Like if you have something new thing that you need to set boundaries towards, now is the time to do it.
I mean, that really is a direct thing on our happiness though, right? If people are disrespecting our boundaries,
it might be time to be like,
it's going to bring down our vibe. It's really going to kill the vibe.
So, Scorpios are very big on protecting themselves. So
as they should be.
Yeah. So protect yourselves. Use protection. Create boundaries.
Use a spiritual condom at this time.
So, if you just started listening to us, every podcast we talk about a random tarot card. We go over the universal meanings and then our own interpretations of the cards. This helps, you form an opinion of your own, or, hearing those who have been practicing for a while, they can expand their views on other meanings. Okay, so this week we're going to talk about the Ace of Wands. When upright, this card shows the typical hand bursting out of the clouds that we expect when we see an ace card. This hand is holding our wand, which looks like a very phallic-shaped branch.
It's a dick.
It's a dick. So in the background, you will see a hilly landscape with a river and some trees. The universal keywords to this card are new beginnings, inspiration, creation, and potential. I love this card. To me, it always speaks of new adventures, especially in relation to growth that we feel passionate about. As with all of the aces, this card is just an offer, a potential. It is up to us to grasp this phallic-shaped wand and do something with it.
Grab that dick.
Do something with this new adventure.
Twist his dick. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's funny. The wands is such an exciting suit that definitely utilizes real world energy to a large degree. So when you decide to move forward with this potential, it is time to take off running. Think of like passing a baton in a relay race. Now, this is not really an invitation to be foolish by any means. It is something like, but it isn't something that you can sit on. Wait for it. Come on. That deserved a better laugh.
Listen. I know that I personally would never do that because I'm a Christian woman, okay? But you, common slut.
Yes, I'm sitting on all the phallic-shaped branches.
I knew it.
But now, like, let's look at this card. You'll see hills on this card, and these represent like the ebbs and flows of this new growth that you are exploring. It isn't going to be easy, and you may struggle to keep the passion and the energy you went in with, but you'll have these moments where you'll enjoy this new path again. It's just like, riding out this thing with real world energy.
Riding out.
God, that was an accident. This is a very inappropriate.
It wasn't an accident, actually.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh. The only thing, what's actually really funny is when I saw that we were doing the Ace of Wands today, because Maria does pick the card every week. Mm-hmm. When I saw we were doing the Ace of Wands, I actually really thought that, and like, listen, I know we've made a lot of dick jokes, but the fact of the matter is that because it is such a raw and like sexual kind of card, I did think it was also really appropriate for the Scorpio new moon. Like, this is an appropriate card for that, right? It's raw, it's sexy, it is emotionally fulfilling with a burst of creativity. In some situations, depending on the context of the reading and the cards around it, I have seen this card come up for conception of a child.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it is very much so regarding all the surrounding stuff. So on its own, it doesn't necessarily mean that.
So you're saying if the Empress or like the Queen of Pentacles are sitting right next to it.
Yeah, like, quite frankly, if I had like the Two of Cups, the Empress, and then like this card, and the question was involving things like, will we have children? Are children in my future? Do I have any like plans that I should be aware of in the new future that could like dramatically alter my quality of life? Like, then I would definitely be like, mayhaps a baby.
Mayhaps.
So yeah, it is of course very much so contextual, but I don't know, I thought that was really interesting.
That happens. It seems to happen a lot on our pod,
like we have these like synergetic little moments.
Well, I have been lately like, shuffling and being like, okay, what card should we read next? And then I look up and make sure that we haven't read it before. Although sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes you guys hear doubles.
Who cares?
Oops. So this week for our main segment, we thought we would talk about how our practices have changed. I think this was one of our Discord questions, and
it was one of the giveaway questions.
It was a giveaway question, and we were like,
yeah, and I loved it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah,
it's a pretty good question. But the question is,
it's a great question.
How have our practices changed since we started the podcast? Because it's been 3 years now. We're in our 3 years.
Yeah.
So obviously,
we're approaching the 4th year.
Practices continuously change. We continuously change. Like, nothing will stay as it was. So, Robin, how have you grown, like, since the start of the podcast?
Since we started the podcast, I think that I have had to loosen up a lot of my ideas around structuring my spells, because during the course of us doing this podcast, I got pregnant. I've had a child. All these things happened, right? I got pregnant at the end of our first season. So because of that, especially considering I had like hyperemesis during my pregnancy, so I was like so sick. If you actually go back and you listen to the end of season 1, you can hear how vacant I am in a lot of the episodes, because I'm just so sick that I'm not myself, my normal self. And so because of like that, I used to have like a really firm, I want to say belief, but it's not just belief. It was a firm grounding within my own personal practice that like it had to be on, like if I wanted to do prosperity spells, it had to be on a Thursday. It had to be during, the waxing moon or a full moon, unless I was starting something brand new, that it had to be on a new moon. And I was really rigorous with myself about these timings. And I would it didn't matter what else was going on in my life. It was like, get out of the house. Like, I'm doing this. And I've had to learn to be a lot more flexible. And so I've switched much more to, instead of focusing on lunar phases, which I still try to utilize, don't get me wrong, but I'm much more flexible with them, and I focus more on like planetary hours versus lunar phases, because that's what fits my life better. And I personally have actually found more success with my stuff since switching to that. So it turns out flexibility actually can have some reaped rewards.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense, because our own bodies go through its own like cycle. So you paying attention to your cycle, you know, like if you're feeling up, if you're feeling down, you know, if you're going through your dark moon phase or going through your full moon phase, you're still kind of utilizing that energy.
Yeah. And for me, it massively, it had to change. Like it had to change. And when you do things like planetary hours, you have twice in every single day these opportunities to utilize the energy that you want to utilize. As opposed to like one day in the month. You know what I mean? Which did used to work great for me. Don't get me wrong. Like, and if you are somebody who does that, like, trust, I was the same for like 12 years. But I've had to adapt to being a mom and not having this endless amount of time and opportunity or even energy, you know what I mean, to do these things. So I don't know. What about you?
So I've really leaned into that whole Mama Home and Hearth Witch title the past couple of years. Like, creating a magical household has been an ongoing project, especially with building a relationship with my house spirits and land spirits as well. I've really like been concentrating on that. And I think like I've done a pretty good job. My home, especially during COVID, became like my sanctuary. And the more like I honor my house magically, even on like a real world level, like let's say cleaning and stuff like that, the more it serves me in return, like finding lost objects, for instance, or protecting my family. And, you know, I've always harped on this, but I've also leaned more into daily, simple, practical magic throughout the day. I think those like small touches do so much for my practice. I still like do huge rituals from time to time, but it is only like when I feel need to. And like, that goes along with like honoring my body, has been like continual work to learn to not fight my neurodivergency and my chronic illness. A lot of shadow work has and is done on almost a daily basis, just because it can be so emotionally heavy to not being able-bodied, and it's time consuming trying to be able-bodied. You know,
I mean, you're fighting who you are as a person.
It's a complete denial of a big part of my life. And, you know, I won't experience life the way others can. And that's okay. Like, I'm the type of person who needs little hustle and limited tasks and a ton of like slow mindfulness through my day. And I need to be working with my reality instead of fighting it. I get more done, actually, magically or otherwise. And that doesn't mean like I'm any less magical. And I believe it actually makes my practice that much better and stronger. I feel so much more in tune with my practice and am so much more mindful of not only my energy, but the energy like around me when I truly embrace it, when I embrace who I actually am and my body, my mind.
You know, it's funny that you say that, because as soon as you were talking about adapting things for like your strengths and weaknesses, I would say outside of our practices, just you and I within this podcast, I would say that you and I have adapted the podcast, the Patreon, everything to channel both of our strengths and weaknesses. Like, I am better at like long delegated tasks than you are.
You are.
But you're better at making like these really insightful and thought out, like beautifully done like articles. And it's not that I don't do articles. I do articles every month, but that's your strength where I'll still do it, but you can tell which one I did and which one Maria did. And so I would say that not just in our magical practices, but also just like in the formation of this podcast, like that's been a huge thing that you and I have worked on in the last, I would say, year probably.
Yeah. Just like leaning in on really each other, like for certain things. Yeah.
And like, I think it's made what we produce better, I think. I mean, maybe you guys would disagree.
But, they better not.
You know,
I'm looking at you. Just kidding. We're 30, 40, and thriving. Okay.
Both of us are older than 30.
Don't say that. No, I'm not yet.
We're in our 30s. But I really will say that. I think that when we first started doing Coffee and Cauldrons and just the Patreon in general, we had a lot of really big, grand ideas, but the actual application of how that would work, I guess, took some time for us to figure out. And I think we're in a really good rhythm.
Yeah, I think slowly adding stuff in, especially like with coffee talks and stuff like that, it's just been, I think it's great. I think it shows progress and growth. And it's like, you know, slow growth so we can keep growing in the future.
Yeah, we just want to keep providing good content and lots of it. You know, I didn't really realize how much we do until I got mad about something. Maria knows what. But I got mad about something a couple of days ago and I texted her about it. And I actually took the time to like write out every single thing that we do every month. And I was like, oh my God, we do so much stuff. And I didn't even that's not even like to toot my own horn. We have done this progress, like Maria's saying, this slow growth, that it has happened so gradually. And it's been something we've been really conscious and worked on, that I never actually took the time to stop and think about how much we actually do, because it has been this slow growing process where we added a little bit here and added a little bit there. That I'm like, holy shit, we do so much stuff.
And
I know people have told me that, and I'm like, no, we don't. We don't do that much stuff. And then I'm like, oh no, we actually do.
And I'm going to make Robin feel really good. But like, Robin is such an amazing like business partner, just because like if I'm going through like a super hard time with my body, which unfortunately is very often that I'm like struggling, but like she always understands, and she understands my limitations, and having a friend and partner understand that is so rare. As someone with a chronic illness, I've had friends who just like write me off because I don't get better. I like the chances of me getting better is rare. It will be, you know, unless there's huge medical advancements. But
you never know.
Oh no, I will be there.
But I don't know, like, but simultaneously, like, I mean, right back at you. I have my moments that are chaos. How many times have I canceled on recording or something because Stella fell and I have to go to Stella's house? Stella. I'm like, yeah, Stella fell and is bleeding again. I have to go to the ER. Can we put a rain check
Stella
on this?
Is Robin's very, very feisty grandmother.
Yeah,
very feisty.
She's an independent, strong woman who we love very much. We love very, very much.
That we do.
But she does have little accidents sometimes, or like sometimes she'll do this thing where she'll text me like it's an emergency, like something really bad has happened, and then I go over there and she just like can't figure out how to make the Wi-Fi router work. So I like sprinted over to her house thinking that like chickens are falling from the sky and it's normal. And so like right back at you, because there's plenty of times where I've like last minute canceled and been like, can we put a rain check in it tomorrow? And
yeah. But okay, so what obstacles have you faced these past few years?
And I mean, I think I've already kind of covered that, and that's literally having this massive life change. Becoming a mom was like, I used to be a nanny, so like I really thought I had this like knew what to expect, and in a lot of ways that is true. I'd say, excuse me. I'd say 80% of what I expected I was right about. But there's that extra 20% that because my kid is not the kid I used to be. They're a totally different person. And so, and like being pregnant was miserable.
Even after
which
pregnancy,
is so stupid
because your body's still healing and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think that my biggest obstacle has been I feel like when we talk about here on the podcast, to not compare yourself to other people, to not use the internet as a basis of comparison for your practice. I think that transitional period of like becoming a mom, that probably the first like 4 or 5 months, I found myself not taking our advice. Do you know what I mean? Because I was so used to the witch that I was. The practice
you were jealous
I had,
and
I was
comparing
way too
yourself
hard
to your old self.
Yeah, I was being way too hard on myself, but not just to my old self. I'd like when you did Tamed Wild Retreat, right? Then you got to like go out and be with other witches right after COVID, right? We've all like been locked in the house, and I was locked in the house and pregnant. And then you got to go to this retreat. I was like, I want to go to a retreat. I want to go dance naked in the water with everyone. That sounds so fun. And so, but that wasn't my reality at that moment. I mean, granted, a lot of those feelings were hormone based, but it was a lot of like comparing myself to my old self, comparing myself to people that were able to get out of the house because we had been in lockdown.
Yeah. Well,
right before, like up till I got pregnant,
I really
like it was just
sorry, but I really feel like when you're at that last few months of your pregnancy, you're basically like, you would think that you're going towards like the full moon phase, but you're actually going through the dark phase of like, like the moon. I'm not, the moon phase, and you're dealing with those heavy emotions.
I actually hit my villain era.
I do not want to ever look back at all my stuff like from my last few months of pregnancy with my witchling, because I know that it's horrible, and I know like I said and did things that was like so cringy just because you're so hormonal and you're so in your feelings. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because I didn't think I was that hormonal, but I really was. I was such a bitch.
Like, honest to God,
I don't know if Maria remembers this. That's true. She's not wrong about that. Sorry, Frank. I don't know if you remember this, but there was like a couple episodes where I would like cry about nothing, like in between recording. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was like stupid shit. It'd be about nothing. I'd be like, I saw this video on TikTok. It was just like, I'm fine. I'm actually fine.
Oh my goodness. But
what about you? What has been your biggest struggle?
So back to the chronic illness stuff, because it's all encompassing. But
it's so funny. We both keep repeating the same things.
Yeah,
it's motherhood and chronic illness.
But when I first started the pod, I was dealing with a lot of brain fog. I think it was like the worst that it ever was, and just like a whole other bunch of chronic illness issues. And now like I still have those issues, but they have improved. The thing is though, like I spent a lot of time in that fog, and when you're in a fog like that, it's so hard to not only like enjoy things, but it was hard retaining information, recalling information, learning in general. Now that the fog has quasi lifted the past couple of years, I'm like remembering things again, and I'm like hungry to learn. But all that got in the way of my practice in such a major way. Not saying that like I didn't love my practice or I didn't practice in general, which I did a lot, but it was just generally a huge obstacle I was dealing with on a daily basis, not just on the pod. And now I'm kind of like in this renaissance period of my life where I am trying to read and learn as much as possible, just like I did in my teens and my early 20s. It has been such a breath of fresh air. And, I love learning, and I'm so glad my brain is working for me again. And I'm able to, I still have.
I know that you worked really hard too. I don't know if you're still doing this, but I remember that a couple years ago you were working really hard on like finding like herbal things to help you with your fogginess, and I remember that was helping at least for a while.
Yeah, still like I'm not saying that it will heal everyone's brain fog or anything, but like I've been on top of taking my vitamin D, and also
that helped me massively too after I gave
turmeric.
birth.
I take a lot of turmeric. It's basically I take 4 pills a day, 2 in the morning, 2 at night. And with the turmeric, it's helped so much. It's unreal. I mean, they taste horrible. Like every time I take the pills, I'm like, my wife likes to watch me because it's gross. It tastes like butt.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Robin just had this huge coughing fit.
I literally, I was listening to you talk, and I started to cough just a little bit when I was drinking water, and the water went up the wrong pipe or whatever.
That happens.
So
you were
game
done.
over for
I was
me,
like,
baby.
Should I call someone? 911. 911. Right, Frank, and be you need to come save your wife.
My friend just died of a coughing fit on a live camera. So we better splice that and make that social media content for everyone.
So
here's a video of Robin passing away.
We should make that a contemplation video, coughing.
Yeah, really.
But so, is there any other big changes that you've made to your practice in the past few years?
Not really, if I'm being really honest with you. I mean, I feel like I have such a grounded practice. Do you know what I mean? That for me, the biggest changes was actually when it was that I practiced. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I
think the only when I first started the pod, I was working with many deities, but Hecate, I was always stayed my main, but I still was very open pantheon wise. Now I've been sticking to the old gods like Hecate and the Horn God, and also Greek deities specifically. Specifically Persephone, Persephone and Hecate are my main ones that I go back and that I work.
Your main Rolodex of friends.
And I'm also in the process of building a relationship with Hestia the past couple of years, but
interesting. I didn't know
I do
that.
need, just because of the home and hearth thing,
no, it makes perfect sense, but I didn't know that.
But
that's really interesting.
But I still have a lot of reading to do on her. There's not that much information available on her, so it's kind of difficult, but
it's something that is a journey to
I
discover.
think she's an amazing goddess, and I've enjoyed working with her as much as I have been working with her, and also my house spirits, because as I said, I've been building a stronger relationship with them.
I love that. So I would say overall, just as a closing note for this question, I would say that our practices have simultaneously been the same, but gotten better.
And we've learned to deal with the hard stuff. Yeah.
And I mean, really, not to circle back to tooting each other's horn. We're going to jerk each other off for a second. But I really feel like part of my practice has changed in that I feel like I've always been a solitary witch, but I feel like I have more people in my life, including you, that I can lean on for things magically and ask opinions, or if I'm just being way too biased about a tarot reading, I can get a second opinion, or I have one of those moments where Stell has fallen and I have to rush. It's can you light a candle for everything? You know what I mean? And there's I don't know, I feel like I more have not a coven, but a community of people that I didn't have, several years ago.
No, I feel that. My circle is way smaller than yours. But definitely.
But my circle of people that I actually rely on and lean on and are insanely close to me is less than 5 people.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a lot of friends, definitely, but they aren't friends necessarily that I would call in an emergency. Magically, you know what I mean? We were talking about before we started recording, there's people that I'm friends with, and there's people that know my actual like inner thoughts about things.
I'm so glad to be privy to this information. But no, like, I really like the overall question that was asked on our thing. It was a good question, and
it was a good question.
What we can say,
and we have a bunch of questions from that giveaway
on how of Robin and my friendship and how it has blossomed and grown into something beautiful.
Yeah. It's true. Like, you are one of my best friends. Like, it's crazy. Marie and I just met randomly because we started our social medias at the same time.
And then I creeped into her DMs. I did.
She did. She was obsessed with me. It was sick.
I was like, that praying hands pose in the forest with the ferns, it just did it for me.
I was like, girl, I get it, but I'm already married. Okay. I know you got a wife. Okay. Yeah, young harlot. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's been my biggest.
Well, thank you. Well, and thank you guys. Our podcast has grown. Everything has grown. It's amazing.
Yeah, the podcast has like been such a labor of love that has been so fun to watch grow. I check our stats and I get so excited about it, and I send them to Maria.
I love them because I never think of checking that stuff, and Robin always gets me psyched up, so I appreciate it. That's like one of the things,
because I'm obsessive, baby.
Is that a Cancer thing? Is it a Cancer thing?
Maybe, or maybe just a hot girl thing.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you. Your wife and I are hot, so what?
True.
That's not legal. That's not legal. Sorry that
my gosh,
my wife is
obsessive. Yeah. Oh.
Sorry, we're both Cancers and incredibly sexy, hot, and wonderful women. Jeez.
But thank you guys.
Yes, thank you. And we have a bunch more questions from that giveaway that I've saved that are going to be future episodes. So, yay.
So, Robin, what is stirring your cauldron this week?
First of all, thank you so much for asking.
Oh, no problem.
Every year during October, my husband and I do 31 days of Halloween movies. Usually they're scary movies, but like I did the Monsters one day this month. I'm obsessed with doing it. My husband wishes that we would do literally anything else. But I've been having so much fun. Like, I know that that's not witchy, but that's what's stirring my cauldron right now, guys. I'm watching some really good scary movies. And if you follow me on Twitter, I have a pinned thread where I've been updating it every day with the movie we watch and my rating and why I've given it the rating I've given it. Without spoilers. So there's no spoilers in my ratings. But yeah, I
need to go check back at it because
I've watched some really good ones. We watched one called The Ritual, I think it was called, from Netflix. If you have not watched it, you need to. It's so good. It was like about basically it was very midsummery vibes. So it was about these people that are worshiping an old god in Sweden and like kind of that process of, I don't know, getting there or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then another one we watched that was really scary. It was called His House.
I've never heard of it.
Oh my God. I'd never heard of it either. It was the most unique ghost story I've ever watched in my life. Because most ghost stories have a very like white perspective, I guess you could say. And this one was about Sudanese refugees that are refugees in England. And they're being haunted by like a ghost, sort of. But it's of a Sudanese origin. And that's all I'm going to say about it without spoiling anything. But it was really, really good. It was one of the most unique stories I'd ever seen that dealt specifically with paranormal stuff. And I really enjoyed it.
That sounds good.
But it was super scary. Do not do it with the witchling. When I say really scary, I mean, ghosts don't scare me. I was scared.
We can't watch like the simplest things around them because it gets so scared so easily.
Yeah.
So noted.
Not this. This is when I'm scared of a ghost story. That's not good. So it was very good. Anyway, yeah, 31 days of scary movies. And if that isn't a tradition that you're already doing, you should pick it up because it's very fun. So, Maria, what's not stirring your cauldron this week?
Well, thank you, sexy voice, for asking. With that husky laugh.
Oh, yes.
So we have a rant-ish. It's fine. But I know that on this part of the segment, we talk a lot about people who think they absolutely think they know all about magic and that their way is the only true way. Well, I do want to talk about that here again. I want to specifically bring up tarot. People acting like the universal keywords is the end all be all when interpreting. Universal keywords, however important they are not the end all be all. And if you're only going to go with the keywords or the author's description of the card, you will only be looking at tarot at face value. For one card, I could offer dozens of different ways it can be interpreted, depending on the reading, depending on the question. A positive card in a negative spot can bring out the negatives. A negative card can, in a positive spot, can bring out the positive in that card. Now, this is not toxic positivity, the tarot, by any means. Tarot is brutal and should be, but that doesn't always mean that the cards will show themselves in the same way every time. That is the beauty of tarot. It adapts to our situations to give us direction. Now, like, to drive my point home is now that if we look at a card like the Empress at face value, we can say she is self-care. She has the power to get what she wants. She can help others facilitate their dreams if she believes in them. But she has a potential in a negative spot to be quite the Karen, wanting things her way and making everyone's lives a living hell if she doesn't get it. The Seven of Swords at its surface is like a thief card. But what makes a thief a bad thief? Robin Hood was a thief. This card can present as as decolonization, taking back your power from a shitty situation that has camped out on your life. Tarot is complicated, and that is why sometimes it takes quite a while to learn. And honestly, to this day, after reading for so many years, I'm still discovering new ways to interpret them. I am not like, I will never master tarot. No one will master tarot. Like, it's a lot of time and effort and an ongoing process, just like magic is, learning magic. But just be careful where people say this is the only way to interpret this card.
Oh, then you can say that about anything. If people feed you bullshit that says my way is the only way or this is the only way, right? That's a red flag that perhaps that person that is educating you would like to create a problem to sell you the solution. You will find that most of those people have courses that are $300 to sell you, or some exclusive book that's $100 to sell you. They're always selling you something. Their way is the only way.
Yeah, which it's not. As I said, tarot is really complicated, and that's what makes it so much fun. Is like it's an ever-changing relationship and ever-changing readings. Like cards.
Yes.
Sometimes they'll come up in the same context, but they don't have to, and they might not ever. Yeah. But just be careful, like, of people being like, "Oh my gosh, this is a bad card." And like, no matter where it's at, it's like, no, just stop it.
Calm down.
Stop it. Stop it. I see your Empress in that negative spot, Karen. Okay.
if you've just joined us, every week we talk about creators that we're loving right now. This could be artists, photographers, bloggers. I don't know, some lady I saw dancing in the middle of a Walmart. I mean, it's whatever I'm digging right now, whatever Maria's digging right now. They're not sponsored ads. These are just people we organically like. So that being said, Maria, who are you digging right now?
So I'm going to try to pronounce this. I'm not great at pronouncing things, so hang with me here. And creator, if you're listening to this,
I'm at the edge of my seat.
Okay, they are at Yosel. Maybe?
I'm going to be honest with you. I got no clue.
Okay, but we'll put it down in the thing. Yeah.
And as always, it'll be in the caption of the episode that you're listening to.
But they have some of the cutest, especially Halloween, like little like art pieces ever. Like they're so cute. They're like kids on top of pumpkins, and it's like they stick to like a black and orange theme to their stuff, and it's just so cute and so fun. And oh no, like it is Halloween just like looking at the stuff. And they even have a major arcana deck. It does not have all the cards, but it's reasonably priced for an indie deck. It's like $23 for the majors deck. Yeah, but they're so cute, and I really want them because they are adorable. And I just, if you like good, like cute little Halloween art, I definitely recommend checking them out.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm digging this creator called Soul Percher.
Oh my gosh, I'm dying right now, by the way.
First of all, if you know anything about me, I'm a taxidermy girly. Okay, I love a good bit of taxidermy. Love it, especially ethically sourced taxidermy, which this is. All the animals that they use have perished due to natural causes. It says that right up front. So I would assume most of it's roadkill, if I'm being very transparent with you. But it is taxidermy that has been put in these like crazy cute little outfits that they make. Like it's just so cute, and you can kind of tell that most of it is probably roadkill because of how they like hide parts of the body. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it's so cute. Like they've got them in cute little outfits, and like my favorite is the raccoon in the dress from like a month ago. I love her. I want to take her home and give her a little kiss.
Are super adorable, and the rabbits.
So I just think it's really like such a beautiful way to honor, these animals that were unfortunately struck down. And I just think it looks so beautiful. So really beautiful work just in general. It is. It's really, especially if you're into oddities, they're stunning. So thank you all so much for joining us today. We hope that you will join us again on Friday, October 21st for Coffee Talk, or on October 28th for our 20th episode of Season 3. You can keep an eye out on our Instagrams or Twitter, Facebook, wherever, or you can follow us at coffeeandcauldrons.com to find all of those social media links, as well as just like how to submit. And I worked really hard on that website.
Everyone go to the website and admire Robin's work. That is what Robin
That's saying. What I'm trying to say. Don't forget to join us on Patreon on October 30th for our 4 hunting class hosted by J. Allen Cross. This is available for the library tier and up. And if you miss it, you'll be able to listen, hopefully view as well, if it works this time. Last time we were in retrograde, it didn't work. It was just audio. So it'll be available on the library tier and up in case you cannot physically be at the class on the 30th.
Or even better, you can join us on Magical Beginnings Patreon. Our Patreon offers a special 25-minute part 2 episode, a huge library of articles about witchcraft, a Discord community full of fun events and discussions, and we even have a tier that offers one-on-one conversations with Robin and myself. And I do want to say that we have opened up our library tier to ask questions for our part 2.
Yes, so if you're in the library tier, you can now participate in asking questions for our part 2. We thought it was just expansion. And please, if you are loving our sexy, sensual, erotic voices, take a moment to review us on whatever streaming service that you are listening from. So that would be potentially Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any of the others. We love reading your reviews, and rating us with 5 stars helps us be seen by others. So for those of you who have rated us, or those of you who plan to rate us in the future, we really appreciate you.
We do. We appreciate you so much. We think about your faces as we go to sleep.
We hold your face mentally in our brain and we go, oh, that's so nice. Consensually, though. Okay,
consensually.
I kiss you consensually. If you don't want it, I don't give it.
So again, this is Coffee and Cauldrons
with Robin from And a Tired Witch.
And I'm Maria from @Maria the Arcane on Instagram.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Bye, witches!
I think that sounded great.
That sounded dead on.
Yes.